like just one of those situations, honestly, where it's like, I think, and I genuinely believe this now, that the mass shooter, because if he wasn't dead, but the mass shooter of the Texas Mall shooting could give a testimony where he's like, hi, I'm a neo-Nazi, I believe in white supremacy, and I want to kill people to uphold white supremacy. That's why I did what I did. I was also inspired by libs of TikTok, and I watched numerous white supremacists on Timcast IRL who also inspired me. That's what I'm about. And then every one of them would be like, concerning. Something's off here. I can't quite place it. But doesn't feel accurate, you know? You're saying that, well, sorry, what? He's got a swastika tattoo and an SS tattoo. So, mass shooting happens. Conservatives, wow, so sad. Shooter's online username is HitlerFan88. Cons. Let's not assume it's politics. Shooter has a house full of right-wing merch. Cons. You can't prove this person is a Nazi. Shooter has a swastika tattoo. Cons. The shooter is fake. This is so fucking on point. Don't know if you saw this. It's all a big joke to them. Right here we got the Allen, Texas shooter had Nazi and SS tattoos. He wrote that Joseph Mengele was his hero in an online screed. He wrote that this post is inspired by libs of TikTok before ranting about the Drag Queen story hour. And that post ended with the words hail you know who. And then Cat Turd responds with the meme that means like, sure buddy. Totally true. Which, yeah, they're memeing their way through something that is obviously entirely abhorrent. I've got a list of conspiracy theories that the owner of the website has been pushing. So we got over 6.3 million illegal aliens entered the country since January 2021. 33 states have a population before 6.3 million. Wow. In New York this week, a black man threw his infant down a flight of stairs and threw his white wife off a rooftop. Zero outrage. But now black New Yorkers want blood for the killing of Jordan Neely because the Marine veteran who did it is white. Do you see the problem? Concerning. Blacks kill each other. Whites kill themselves. Interesting. Perspective is everything. Odd. Why would the media misrepresent the real situation to such an extreme degree? So, you know, Elon, if he wasn't before, is just 100% mask off now. And that's leading us to the current conspiracy theories regarding the mass shootings. So allow me to pull up some of the more ridiculous statements. So we've got the redheaded libertarian. It's a psyop and it's not even good. The alleged shooter's alleged profile. The alleged shooter? What? Anyways, the alleged shooter's alleged profile claims that he was inspired by libs of TikTok. Between this and the Tim Pool references, this thing is suspect. Where is his Twitter account? I guess I gotta do a PSA here. If you don't know, Ian Miles Chong is one of the most ridiculous figures on the internet that still, for some reason, has any shred of fucking credibility amongst the fucking right. Why? It's just embarrassing on them that this is a thing. He's someone who did a swatting on another person that resulted in the cops killing a dog through flashbanging it. And didn't take responsibility for that. That is super fucked up. Also has a ton of posts about lowering the age of consent. Yes, he's very, very fucking pedo on main kind of public figure. Again, people who you would think at some point the right are like, oh no, that's gross. Like the right will fucking condemn pedos if they're gay. Like Milo Yiannopoulos. Oh, what did he make a pedo statement? Yeah, okay, we're not dealing with that. No, if it's one thing to have a gay amongst us, but if he's a pedo gay, no, we can't fuck with that. So yeah, we'll get rid of Milo. But Ian Miles Chong? Allegedly. Yeah, allegedly, of course. So this is fucked up. And then Elon Musk pops in there. This gets weirder by the moment. What about this is weird to you? Because you gotta understand, for this to be a psyop, like allow me to paint the Occam's razor here. Someone had to have been creating a social media account, propagating it with Nazi shit, getting swastika and SS tattoos, posting videos that they liked about the Tim Pool show where he interviewed white supremacists and neo-Nazis, including Nick Fuentes and Eliza Schaefer, doing this for a very extended period of time, hoping or knowing that at some point in the near future, this person could become activated and do some kind of mass crime so that they can then blame it on the right. That's basically the fucking... that's the scenario that you have to believe, or that's the suspension of disbelief that you need to do to be able to believe this. Yeah, and so obviously the Latin A aspect, that one was the first thing they jumped on because, well, the fucking, he's not a white supremacist. He's not white. You fools. He's not white. He can't be a white supremacist. He's not white. Okay, so here's a meme that he himself posted that is demonstrating how it says at the bottom Latinos, and then he has two choices before him. On the left choice is imitate black people, and on the right choice is become a white supremacist. That was a meme that he posted. That's in his own words, so to say. I think he's explaining to all of you that he was in fact a white supremacist. We know that because he called himself a white supremacist and also referred multiple times to loving Hitler, other white supremacists, other mass shooters who are white supremacists, and yes, did make a post that said, this is inspired by Libs of TikTok. What a surprise. Libs of TikTok, the anti-LGBTQ fucking hate network that has been slandering queers over and over and over, like, you know, posting that they're groomers or pedophiles. Hey, look, this is a teacher that uses they, them pronouns, pedophile. Hey, this is a teacher that happens to be gay, groomer. Oh, keep the groomers away from us every single time. Incidentally, I like adding this. Libs of TikTok blocked me when I showed that she had posted a video of someone filming inside of a children's bathroom with one of the stalls being closed, so a child was using the bathroom when someone was filming in it. And I was like, this is extremely yikesy. Dare I say even groomer-like. Haya, what's going on here? Haya, it kind of seems like you're posting a video right now of a children's bathroom. Someone's using it, most likely a kid, because this is a children's bathroom in an elementary school. Yikes. Big old yikes. Block on the spot. And yeah, it doesn't shock me at all. This all makes sense. Like the pattern over and over is that a lot of these mass shooters are like, okay, so these mass shooters are male, or just almost exclusively. There's like a couple exceptions, but they're almost always male. They're usually younger. You know, they skew between the ages of 20 and 30, around that range, even though this time the shooter was 33 years old. There's a history of them idolizing other mass shooters, especially other mass shooters who are either white supremacists or incels, misogynistic mass shootings as well, and then being fucking indoctrinated by right-wing pundits. The mosque shooter had a list of Twitter accounts that he was frequenting. He frequented Ben Shapiro's chart-topping 93 times. And at the time, Ben Shapiro was saying things like Israelis build settlements and Arabs live in sewage and like to bomb shit. Settlements rock or something like that. And so like obviously, if you are being indoctrinated over and over and over with all of these fucking people, these individuals who are pushing all this anti-Muslim rhetoric, yeah, if Justin Trudeau suddenly passes or states publicly that he's going to this is what was the catalyst for the event. If Justin Trudeau publicly is like, we're going to let a lot more refugees into the country, he felt through the indoctrination, his idealization of white supremacy, his idealization of other mass shooters, that he had to take matters into his own hands and went and committed an act of horrifying violence and a hate crime. And this is a pattern you see happen and unfold. Now, this isn't every single mass shooting. Of course not. There's other reasons why shooters do this. And usually bullying plays a very large part. But like they will always just scapegoat this as, well, this is a lone gunman, probably mental health issues. We're not going to donate any money to mental health. Fuck that noise. But lone gunman, mental health issues, that kind of shit. And when there is fucking an overwhelming amount of like fucking evidence in this case, then they're turning to PSYOP. Like that's where they're pivoting to right now. Again, rather than take any fucking personal responsibility for any of this shit. The shooter's social media history suggests that he had a long history with fringe radical right internet communities due to the frequency with which he referred to their esoteric symbols and memes. He posted photos of hand-drawn symbols associated with the radical right, including the Deus Vult crosses, the SS Lightning Bolt, swastikas, references to right-wing death squads. He was wearing the logo of the right-wing death squad, on his jacket, a meme that celebrates extrajudicial killing on the behalf of the fascist state. He also drew and posted photos of helicopters, which reference the killing of dissidents of the 20th century, a regime of authoritarian Chilean president Augusto Pinochet. The shooter also shared photos that appear to be selfies, showing that the tattoo of the logo of the Schutzstaffel, or SS, a Nazi-era paramilitary organization, and a swastika on his body sometime between 2022 and 2023. The shooter's social media history suggests that he consumed more mainstream right-wing content that overlaps with fringe hate movements. He shared screenshots from multiple episodes of Timcast IRL, a far-right YouTube talk show hosted by Tim Pool that has a history of platforming extremists as guests. The shooter made a positive reference to Libs of TikTok, the pseudonym of HARASSMENT, who posts anti-LGBTQ+ commentary on the mainstream platform, including Substack and Twitter. He also lauded the activities and beliefs of the white nationalist and anti-Semite Nick Fuentes and highlighted more than one of his appearances on the easily accessible online talk show. The shooter referenced the white nationalist nonprofit VDare on his social media history. Even before the police released the shooters' names to the public, they stressed to their audience that the killer appeared to be Latino, playing up the anti-immigrant trope that would be familiar to their audience. Now, well, I mean, if he's Latino, he can't possibly be a white supremacist or anything like that. And then, boom, he apparently was a big Timcast fan, as you can see. And like this, like, how can we know the motivation? Who's to say? Maybe he's just a Buddhist. Maybe he's a Hindu. This could be a different interpretation of the use of that symbol. We'll never truly know. We'll never truly know what he believes.
Okay, you don't think Motley Crue, you don't think the Rolling Stones, like this is something famous people, it's not a good thing.
No.
And that's probably because you're a conservative Christian, right, where you're saying, okay, it's not a good thing to go around and be promiscuous and sleep. But the truth is, this was glorified by Hollywood for decades.
What, so, rape? Is that the official position of Louder with Crowder? Damn, don't know why your wife wouldn't want to be in a relationship with you anymore.
So that's what was retrieved. The profile included what they say, right? Troves of Nazi imagery. Guns, ammo, pictures of the Allen Mall, including a graph showing peak hours.
Oh, he should. No way. Hey, okay. I know a lot of my right-wing fucking, crossovers and or beefs. Tim Pool and Steven Crowder don't really fuck with each other a lot. Like, has Steven Crowder been on Tim Pool's? If so, it would have been a long time ago. Like, I don't think he's been a rotating character. But that's, like, I did not expect for them to have put Tim Pool's show, all 4 episodes that were up there, right here.
Pool screenshots.
What?
Is what they Tim Pool read this was like, yeah. Shit! Sorry, Tim. By the way.
Well, do they all hate Tim Pool? They're all laughing at him. And by the way, Tim Pool last night, talk about a fucking meltdown. Holy shit. As soon as everyone started ratioing him, like, I saw Hassan ratioed him fucking into the sun by being like, bro, little bro, this is a fan of yours. Like, this is your fan, by the way. He immediately starts doing this whole, like, oh, well, whatever happened to the manifesto of the trans shooter? Release the manifesto. It's like, oh, shit, you're scrambling. Then the next one was, like, responding to Keith Olbermann, where he's just like, Keith, fart, Keith Olbermann. I'm not going to believe whatever the leftist mob is calling for right now and all this other shit. And you're like, God damn, right now, holy shit, what's going on? Like, just one of those situations, honestly, where it's like, I think, and I genuinely believe this now, that the mass shooter, because if he wasn't dead, but the mass shooter of the Texas mall shooting could give a testimony where he's like, hi, I'm a neo-Nazi, I believe in white supremacy, and I want to fucking kill people to uphold white supremacy. That's why I did what I did. I was also inspired by libs of TikTok, and I watched numerous white supremacists on Timcast IRL who also inspired me. That's what I'm about. And then every one of them would be like, concerning. Something's off here. I can't quite place it. But doesn't feel accurate, You're saying that, sorry, what? He's got a swastika tattoo and an SS tattoo. The ink looks a little fresh. Why is the ink so fresh? Was that done right before as part of some psyop, And when you say psyop, so what was happening here? Someone faked having right-wing beliefs online for years, and then because they're a CIA op to take down the right, they then committed an atrocious act of mass violence. Like what? I've also got, I don't know if it's been released yet. Let's see if they've written back to me. So I've got my first article ever, my first news. I'm a journalist now. Actually, I'm an opinion piece entertainer, just like before. But I've got my first article coming out in the Daily Beast today. The legal's just looking it over to make sure that I haven't actually slandered or libeled anybody. So once legal dots the I's and crosses the T's, we'll be good to go. But the entire premise of it is that there's so much acts of violence that seem to be inspired, not entirely, but partially by right-wing pundits. I bring up the mosque shooting, for example, as an example of that, with the Twitter account of Ben Shapiro chopping the tarts at 93, I believe, references on the Ben Shapiro show. And then also reference the fact that, the Boston Children's Hospital, it may have been that the people were inspired by Matt Walsh or Haya Reichek or Christopher Rufo or Andy No. The reason I'm bringing up so many names is that they all give each other plausible deniability. Like, so did the person who called in the bomb threat to Boston Children's Hospital, were they inspired by libs of TikTok? Or were they inspired by Matt Walsh? Or was it neither? And they were inspired by Tucker Carlson, who also did a segment where he was putting up some of their publicly available information that resulted in doctors and nurses getting death threats. You see, there's no real way to pinpoint the source unless one of the people is going to directly say, I was directly inspired by libs of TikTok to commit acts of violence. Like, until you get that, all of them get plausible deniability, and they don't have to take responsibility for propagating hate. They don't have to actually take responsibility for any of the fucking things they say. They just continue to do this shit. And like, is there any surprise that so many mass shooters also happen to be fans of a lot of these people, right? Like the Christchurch shooter donating fuck tons of money to people like Stefan Molyneux or Rebel News, where at that time, what's her face, Lauren Southern, while she hadn't released the video in question where she directly talks about, the Great Replacement conspiracy theory, was talking about the Great Replacement conspiracy theory on Rebel News in other segments. And so is it a surprise that someone who's donating tons and tons of money to both, Rebel News, Stefan Molyneux, all these other people that Lauren Southern was close to at the time, could they have been potentially inspired by the things that they were seeing on Rebel News? There's enough plausible deniability there, though, unless the shooter straight up comes out and says, yes, my violent act was directly inspired one-to-one by this one person, because there's so many. They all give each other cover. That's how this whole thing works. What was it, Steven Crowder, or what was it, Tim Pool? We'll never truly know.
Tim, I don't believe it, just to be clear. Okay,
No,
I don't think that you've.
Oh, and by the way, they always use this fucking example when I bring this up of like, do you know that the person who shot Reagan apparently was inspired by the movie Taxi Driver because they wanted to like impress Jodie Foster? And I was like, yeah, that's not the same thing. The movie Taxi Driver didn't have a deep message where it's like, how we have to like have the superiority of the white race? You have to murder the president, Jodie Foster. Do that for Jodie Foster, and Jodie Foster will love you. That wasn't a part of that film. So this is a case of someone who had mental illness. This is actually one of the rare cases where someone was found not criminally liable for their actions because they had mental illness, and it's one of the cases of the court actually working, and really strange that of all people, because they actually shot Reagan, but they didn't find him of sound mind to be able to make a decision to be able to do that. That's what that is. There was no part of Taxi like where they're trying to inspire someone to do mass shootings, right? You can't correlate the two. But if you have someone like Ben Shapiro constantly vilifying Muslims, constantly saying that there's a myth of the radical Muslim minority, that there is no such thing as nonviolent Muslims, all that kind of stuff, well then, surprise, surprise, something like that will fucking happen,
Radicalized anybody.
Tim!
And then, of course, unhinged diatribes, but praising the Nashville shooter, which wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for a Nazi white supremacist, considering that it was a trans liberal activist. But again, you haven't had that manifesto, even though now they've retrieved his #2 social media Russian platform, Classmates. Oh, my God.
Doesn't make any sense. By the way, you'd only be on that site if you were a classmate of someone in Russia. That's the whole point.
Do you have any idea how they would react if that guy showed up, that Hispanic American, and be like,
what?
where did you get lost and how did you get on plane over here? That is very detailed. It's almost too intricate that you are not lost. Like you meant to come here, but you're not supposed to be here. No, we are all white. We take 9 minutes to make lunch order. You are brown. You don't we have fresh Nazi tattoos. Oh, yeah, nothing suspicious. Throw them in ditch with pedophiles. Okay. So
This is extra cringe knowing now, because we have the behind the scenes information that apparently Crowder has a button on his desk, and that button, if he pushes it, no one else is allowed to talk, so he can do his bits, because he wants to be the center of the show at all times. So if someone is getting too many laughs or something, it's like, what? Boop. Here come the accents.
got the Hodge twins here. Let me give two black guys a couple more reasons to not trust the cops. So,
by the way, I just want to state that that's proof we can do good stingers.
Yep, it is. Yeah, it is.
It's not at all. Oh man, I know that comedy is subjective, okay, but yeah.
Zip it. We make our decisions and we stand by them. So let me bring you to coincidence number 1. Okay, the social media posts, again, the #2 social media platform of Russia. They were discovered, and this is something pretty interesting, by a researcher, okay, named Eric Toller. Okay, according to his own account, yes. This is how he found the profile. I found his profile by searching for active profiles with the filters of his birthday, those living in the U.S., and male. About 50 results,
argument already.
And the Hitler smiley face avatar made it an easy pick for my first choice of checking if it was him.
Wow.
Now, coincidentally, Mr. Toller, this reporter, again, coincidentally,
So, by the way, not a lawyer here, but coincidences, like just being, this is all 100% speculation. And even that, it's very, very weak speculation. But if you're going to call into question his reporting on this topic, again, he's a reporter for Bellingcat. If you're going to call it into question, then you would have to present, you know, the burden of proof is on you right now to present why this isn't factually accurate. Why exactly is this not his social media account?
Also the reporter who discovered the source of the leaked Pentagon documents last month.
Wow.
He then worked with the New York Times to break the story, just to be clear. This brings us to, now you might just say he's an investigative journalist, right? He's really, really good.
Hey, what do you know? In the middle of this show, we got a new post. Texas police have just confirmed that the shooter had Nazi tattoos. Authorities still searching for the gunman's motive in Allen Outlet Mall shooting. The DPS confirms the shooter had 8 weapons with him. On Tuesday afternoon, authorities with the Allen Police Department, Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the Texas Department of Public Safety provided an update on the investigation into the deadly mass shooting on Saturday at the Allen Premium Outlets that left 8 people and the gunman dead. Hank Sibley, the regional director for the Texas Department of Public Safety, said the gunman had no past criminal history and was not on the radar of law enforcement prior to Saturday's Outlet Mall shooting. Sibley confirmed that he was in the U.S. Army in 2008. He was in basic training but had separated from the Army prior to completing basic training. He confirmed that the shooter had a private security license in the state of Texas, but the license was expired and he had not been an active security guard in some time, that he was not working as a security guard in the shooting. He did work as a security guard for several outlets, but it's unknown whether or not he ever worked as a security guard for the Allen Premium Outlets. Said investigators are still trying to piece together what the motive was for his actions. Warrants have been conducted at both of his residence and extended stay in Dallas and his parents' Dallas homes. He said the investigators have determined that the shooter subscribed to neo-Nazi ideology with neo-Nazi tattoos. And again, this is why it's pretty unfair how the decks are stacked against the left, because you know, while they lie on the other end that it's like that side, the right, facts don't care about your feelings. No, that's the left, okay? You are all feelings, motherfuckers. All your shit is feelings. You base everything on feelings. You don't self-correct. And when you're presented with actual scientific evidence in the opposite direction, you change the topic every fucking time. Look at that fucking Joe Rogan clip with Matt Walsh where all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, Matt, it turns out that this is not true. You're exaggerating of an order of magnitude of like hundreds right now. This is not, and like, you know, the picture comes up, the bright shining light of justice from Jamie's screen goes on, and he's like, oh, well, yeah. And then Joe Rogan's even like, sounds better though, right? What you said sounds better. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it'll, he didn't say this, but like, it'll sell more t-shirts kind of shit. And then rather than take in information, because he was factually incorrect by a fucking multitude of like fucking, sorry, a magnitude of fucking wrongness, he just doubles down. He's like, well, Media Matters will have a day with this, right? We all hate Media Matters. All Media Matters sucks, right? Libs, fuck the libs. Yeah, am I right? Okay.
Good at finding Pentagon information and finding American Hispanics in the #2 Russian classmates site.
Right. When nobody else found it.
It's a niche skill set.
Right.
I have a very particular set of skills. I will cross-reference your Hispanic name at Russian classmate site #2 in Russia. I'll link it to the New York Times, and then pretty much do nothing. That's what I'll do.
Solid.
Solid? That's so sad. Oh man. Okay, as a comedian, I hate fake laughter. It fucks with me. I don't like when people, just because they think like I'm funny or something, like, oh. I'm like, oh, you don't, that wasn't a good bit. Don't laugh. That's so cringe. That's a bit. Yeah, killed it. Nailed it. Oh, another banger there, Steven. Another banger. Please don't fire me. Please don't sexually harass me. Please don't pull your penis out again, Steven. Please don't pull your penis out. I don't need to see it again today. All right, I've already seen it 4 times. Please don't make me do a sketch where I have to spank you, Steven, or you spank me. Please.
So coincidence number 2 here. The same guy, Toller, currently serves as the director of training and research at a place called Bellingcat, and they describe themselves, I should say, as an independent research
ad hominem.
Bellingcat has received more than $250,000 from intelligence agencies, including a CIA shell company.
Yeah.
Just to be clear.
Funnel money.
They funnel money through.
So the closest you'd get with what you're doing right now is maybe a conflict of interest if it was directly pertaining to the story at hand. Unfortunately, in this case, I don't think that one even qualifies. But even if that was the case, you still have the burden of proof to disprove the information that he is putting forward. That it's not disproving of information to do an ad hominem attack, to be like, well, the source isn't viable because of this reason here, right? It's like, well, what about the reporting or the social media posts that he has put forward are you contradicting? And that one doesn't work in your favor either, because like I said, today we have a police report that says that he had a neo-Nazi tattoo. It's really looking like that was his actual account.
Through it, which is what you would often do for legitimate news reporting.
Right.
They've also employed Bellinger, this company, several former British American intelligence agents. Okay, so Mark Polymeropoulos, the CIA's former deputy chief in operations for Europe and Eurasia, even went out of his way to be praising this outfit, Bellingcat, saying, "I don't want to be too dramatic, but we love this. Whenever we had to talk to our liaison partners about it." Keyword there. Instead of trying to have things cleared or worry about classification issues,
what does this
you
have
could
to
just
do
reference their work.
with
Their work
what
meaning
he
Bellingcat,
reported?
the place that employs this man who found the Russian classmates' information.
What does that have to do
of
with
course,
this?
Which is now the narrative that he was a neo-Nazi. By the way, if you're saying, okay, so some intelligence agencies sent some money to some other company.
By the way, wrap your head around this. So the mass shooter was a neo-Nazi. The mass shooter was a white supremacist. The mass shooter bought into white supremacist fucking punditry and liked, watching a handful of white supremacists appear on Timcast. Also was a fan of Libs of TikTok. All of these things. Rather than take that and be like, oh, wow, that's kind of fucked. We should have a sober self-reflection. It's like, oh, okay, no, we're gonna defend this neo-Nazi by saying maybe he's not the neo-Nazi you're thinking of. This is not the Nazis you're thinking of. No, this could be a psyop. Maybe he was working for someone else. They did the same thing with the coup, by the way. They said the coup attempt was fucking Antifa. It was a bunch of Antifa. Yeah, Antifa just banded together. A whole bunch of Antifa showed up, and then all the Antifa. So wait, first off, do you think that there is literally tens of thousands of members of Antifa that have all just decided to travel to that part of the town? They were all wearing covert like Trump gear and stuff like that as part of this massive psyop, and then they all took it upon themselves to risk a potential criminal conviction by destroying and actually doing a coup. Like, yes, let's do a false coup. This has lifelong implications to us. Who cares, right?
That went to this, but it's not like they received any direct American funding, because the founder of Bellingcat in 2016, the guy's name is Elliot Higgins, he said they never received government funding.
Right.
Until 2017, when he admitted that, okay, we received government funding.
Well,
Federal grant. So you've got a reporter.
Again, how does this play into how is, like, even if you want to point to conflict of interest, which I can grant you if they were talking about things related to, say, intelligence agencies or the military industrial complex, you would have a little bit more, still very tenuous, but a little bit more of a leg to stand on here. How is this related to a neo-Nazi mass shooter? How is this stating that he cannot factually report on someone else's social media? That social media, by the way, which is also being, again, picked up by a lot of other agencies and news sources right now. I have the legal team of the Daily Beast going over the article that I wrote that are double checking to find out whether or not these sources are actually accurate, and it seems like a lot of them have passed the smell test.
Who works for an organization who also happened to find Pentagon information, an organization that wouldn't, almost like PBS, would not exist if not.
By the way, could you imagine if this was being done on the other end? Could you imagine if leftists, when there was that last mass shooting, the only one they actually seemed to really care about, by the way, because the shooter was trans, he was a trans man, and oh, this is because it's about trans ideology, release the manifesto. The people on the other end of that, including myself, who are pro-LGBTQ plus activists and stuff like that, no one here was saying, hey, by the way, I think the whole thing is a false flag operation. I think it's a false flag operation to tarnish the trans ideology. That's what this is. Yeah, the whole thing never happened. I don't think. Maybe those are crisis actors at the end of the day. Do we even know if this individual was trans or if they even did a mass shooting? Who's to say? No, it was like, this is a fucking horrifying tragedy, but now we have to do extra pushback against the fact that you're trying to vilify all trans people, which is ridiculous because no one vilifies all cis people, despite the fact that they do 99%, like 99.9% of all the shootings. Like, when you look at that number, what is it? Like, between 2018 and now, of the nearly 3,000 mass shootings, only 3 of them have not been cis. Only 3 of them. So no one is like, yes, we got to talk about cis ideology. Cis ideology is leading a lot of these mass shooters. No, what seems to be a consistent pattern with a lot of these mass shooters happens to be the idealization of other mass shootings, the idealization in many cases of white supremacists and white supremacist mass shooters, and the viewing of the entire thing as some form of a video game where they talk about kill counts and stuff like that. There can be an overlap with misogyny and incels, and that aspect was present here as well, where there was a lot of reports that the shooter was talking about how, women are supposed to give men sex and yet they don't, and that kind of anger directed. But those are verifiable patterns. The majority of mass shootings, by the way, that are politically motivated, I think almost entirely, like 2022, I'm going to pull this up, but I think in 2022 shooting, I think they're extremist right. I just want to pull up from Axios. All U.S. extremist mass killings in 2002 are linked to the far right, report says. all U.S. extremists, mass killings in 2022 linked to the far right. So this is why I also get really pissed off when libs like fucking Biden and Trudeau both sides this issue. There isn't a both sides going on here. One side is killing people and it's politically motivated. One side is doing this on, like, they keep trying to do this thing where it's like, oh, did you see Trans Day of Remembrance? Did you know trans people are going to come out and shoot people? Did you know trans people are fucking indoctrinating people to become soldiers? Blah, blah, blah. Maybe we should actually have gun restrictions for the first time because we're scared of all these trans mass. No, this is not a real thing. Because a shooter happened to also be trans, it doesn't mean that because they were trans, they were committing that mass shooting or it had anything to do with trans ideology. The police reports when it comes to what the actual, there was no manifesto, by the way. The police have said that it's a collection of writings, that there isn't a coherent political motivation at all, and it's certainly not what is being implied by sections of the media. That's the police saying that, not me. You are the ones who back the blue, so if you want to stop backing the blue, go nuts. That's on you.
For money funneled from the CIA and intelligence agencies and directly from the federal government happening to unearth this information.
Yes, and by the way, he found it on the #2. I know we've made a joke, but the #2 social media site for a country that's...
Then disprove it. Then the burden of proof is on you to disprove it. Show me evidence to the contrary.
It's not known for being social. If I gave you like 50 guesses of countries' social media sites that you could search, Russia would not even be on the list of places to go and look.
No, it would not.
So guess what? If you're a neo-Nazi, I mean, maybe Twitter today would probably tolerate it for a degree, but there's still a limit to which Twitter is openly going to allow you to post shit where you're actually posting yourself with swastika tattoos and talking about, and posting, scribes about how you're going to go on mass killings and stuff like that. Yeah, like most major social media platforms, Facebook will roast you, Instagram will roast you, TikTok will roast you. You can't do that for a long time. So that's why you would use a Russian social media website if you are a white supremacist and neo-Nazi who wants to have social media and talk about it and not worry about having your account deleted. That's why they would do that. There is the explanation.
Would you go like, I'm going to the #2 platform in Russia. That's where he is.
Yes, exactly.
Like, what are you talking about?
I mean, I probably, honestly,
All
I'll be honest,
speculation.
I'm not an
All
investigative
speculation.
journalist, though sometimes I am. I'd probably look at the #1 Russia social media platform and then move on.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
right? Maybe.
What's to say he didn't? You also don't have, maybe he checked out Telegram first and couldn't find anything on Telegram, then checked the second one and then found the account and then found an overwhelming abundance of information that definitely definitively correlates the fact that this happens to be the shooter. And hey, if they happen to be a journalist, they would probably want to double check that first before making those posts, because that is a very, very dangerous charge to suddenly lay at the floor of people with a lot of money, including Tim Pool and including Higher Right Check, who are also backed by the Babylon Bee organization. That's a lot of people who will sue the fuck out of you if you're randomly making just accusations with zero potential evidence.
I would China. Okay, no, not really. I don't know, Germany.
It would take me a while before I get down to the Friendster, to the Zynga of Russia. It wouldn't be the first place I would go. Wouldn't you? Like, you check like the #1, you'd be like, what's the Russian equivalent to Facebook? It's Facebook. Okay, well, I guess he's not on Russian Facebook. All right, there we go. I covered my bases.
By the way, he had no interactions at all.
No interactions at all.
They just got the Russian in the loop.
Yeah.
That's all.
About the
These
slang
generic
text.
photos were uploaded. We're like, I'm not, look, this could be true, but it's just a curious.
Well, we'll continue, and you guys let us know. Comment.
This could be true. This could be true. But we have suspicions. Oh, what are your suspicions, pray tell? Well, Bellingcat has gotten funding from dubious sources. Yeah. Oh, are those sources going to directly conflict with what happened here? Are they sources pertaining to neo-Nazi organizations, far-right organizations, Christian nationalist organizations, anything like that? Think tanks that actually are directly related to those kind of things? White supremacists, KKK, stuff like that? No, not per se, but still, they got some funding. Gonna say that. Also, this one's curious for you. This person apparently was using the second most popular social media website in Russia. Why not use the first? Why use a Russian social media site at all? Again, curious, I say. Yeah, that to me is a lot more curious than the fact that there's a picture of the individual who has a swastika tattoo, and the Texas police have just confirmed that the shooter had a swastika tattoo. That one is a little less curious.
Below, we crowdsource us if there are more coincidences that we miss. I'm going to rattle through a few more. Here's coincidence number 3, as I say in Russia.
Wait, Wait, why did you laugh? You don't. Oh man, I feel so bad sometimes for some of you. Like I don't, because you're helping out the empire bigotry here. There are other jobs you could get, but fucking that is so cringe that after the worst potential jokes, you have to be like, please don't pull your dick out again. Please, please. I'll laugh at all your jokes. I just don't want to see your balls. I don't want. They're very strange. Please don't do that. I don't want to see your balls again, Stephen.
Just swear.
That's the abbreviation. That's short. It's street talk. It's too long to say three.
This is so cringe. Okay, I just want to do a little. Russian is an actually incredibly complex but beautiful language. Let's see. 3. Translation of 3.
3.
Are you serious?
3.
No way. Wait, what's 2? Yep.
3.
It's 3? What? Okay, wait, are all numbers the same? What's 2?
2.
What? So 2 is 2. What's 1? Odin.
1.
Odin. Oh, that's cool. Odin. 2. 3. 3 is 3. Oh man, that makes him butchering this whole fucking act even funnier.
Language. So, this was all.
Wait, what did you say under your breath? It's a really hard language. Well, is it hard speaking in Russian gibberish? Oh, it's so tough. It's a really hard language. Yeah. Thanks for laughing, everyone. Thanks.
Here's coincidence. Number. As if there are 3, as they say in Russia.
I mean, he was technically right at the start of that. At the very start, he did say the Russian word for 3, according to the actual Google Translate. It's not quite 3, but it's very close. It's like tree. Yeah.
Just swear.
That's the abbreviation. That's short. It's street talk. It's too long to say 3. God, it's a long language. So, this was all given to the public.
For
Think
real.
about this, guys. Within, like, one day.
Yeah.
One day, the public was given access to all of this shooter's information. Again, assuming that all of it is accurate. I'm not even saying correct or dishonest. I'm saying assuming that it's accurate.
Yeah.
This is something that's pretty concerning. We have this. We have Tim Pool screenshots. We even know that the shooter was allegedly a fan of libs of TikTok, apparently.
Yeah.
And they say...
I never saw it because Anino blocked me a long time. The brown face of white supremacy. A leftist spelling writer has posted screenshots from the purported obscure social media profile of the Allen, Texas mass shooter. The shooter, he's trying to link the shooter to Tim Cass and libs of TikTok. The account has photos of random Latino people wearing or posing in front of a neo-Nazi symbol. What? Bellingcat is a government-funded site that is sourcing from intelligence agencies. It employs radical leftist writers. The radical left controls fucking shit. Shit all. Like, who's the closest to a radical leftist in a position of power? Chairman Bernie, maybe? And he's a pretty avowed social democrat. And like, I know he says he's a democratic socialist, but his policies, the way he like governs, he's looking for social democracy. Very large welfare nets that obviously would house and clothe and take care of the majority of citizens, give them post-secondary education, not have to pay for healthcare, stuff like that. But otherwise, what power does the left have to employ far leftist radical writers for fucking Bellingcat, you know?
That he was inspired, right? This is one of the comments that he was inspired
Grayson
by
Collab
TikTok,
went, right?
And apparently had disdain for his Jewish teacher.
You are all living rent-free.
But we're more than a month out from the Nashville
You're true leftists.
shooting.
You're living rent-free
And the
in all
shooter
their
had a
heads.
manifesto.
It's written down for
The
us.
shooter had a manifesto.
So that's actually not entirely accurate. In this case, the police have said that rather than a manifesto, it's more, again, a collection of writings with no discernible political ideology and purpose that would indicate why they were committing the act of mass violence. So, yeah. There's neo-Nazi groups in the Dominican Republic, literally the dudes as brown as you can possibly be, doing salutes. They don't understand Nazis and white supremacy in today's age is about being white and about being against the minority. Like, this was their attempt at first. That was the first gotcha before this information came out. I want to stress, by the way, what he just said there, where he's like, it's kind of weird how all this information just came out of nowhere. Kind of sus. This was not a fucking a leak that was being done by a whole bunch of news agencies in coordination or stuff like that. They hadn't even picked that up yet. This is one person who was doing internet sleuthing, and here's how early they were on finding all this stuff. The YouTube channel hadn't even been taken down by YouTube yet. I was able to watch the video of the YouTube of the mass shooter, what they posted, and it's so fucking creepy, by the way. He was wearing a scream mask, and then he like takes the mask off and has a voice recorder, and he's like, not what you expected, is it? That was like what the video is, so fucking haunting. And now the YouTube has, yes, taken the channel down because it's been associated directly with potential mass shooters. So of course YouTube was like, oh, like, you know, take that shit down. But holy fuck. Like, same, it was the voice mod for me. Oh, you all saw it. Okay, good. Thank you. I'm glad other people saw it, because I was like, it sucks that I don't have evidence of this. So if I try to talk about it, it's just my word. And I know my word is bond, you know, amongst these places. Is that the expression? Or gold? I don't know, whatever. It's platinum, baby. No, it's dolomite. My word is dolomite, all right? My word is dolomite. I'll just say that. But that being said, it's nice that other people also saw it. So I wasn't just imagining it because it was so weird. You think it's on LiveLeak? Oh, it might be on LiveLeak, actually. Huh. Okay. Well, if someone backed it up, probably someone backed it up. I'm sure they backed it up. But yeah, it was so fucking creepy. Holy fuck. Like taking the mask off, having the thing, and then being like, not what you expected, is it? I was like, oh, like that shook me to my core, because it's real fucking life. So for them to be like, it's kind of odd how this all just came out. It's like, no, someone did internet reporting. They pulled a Matt Binder. Okay, this is the kind of shit that Matt Binder does. Matt Binder's really, really good at going and you know, trawling through Twitter to find, not trolling, by the way, trawling a whole bunch of information, accumulating it, and be like, hey, I want to present you with factual evidence based on what I've observed. So this is what the individual had done. You know,
it's there.
It's in English.
It exists.
Yes. It's also not on the #2 site for social media in Russia. We don't have to go find it.
Yeah.
It was in the car.
It was written. It was written by the transgenders jittery because of the hormone replacement therapy hand in long form. Cursive.
Oh, yeah, you waited a little bit on that one. Did you not know it was a joke at first? Was it like, wait for it? Oh, shit, he's joking. If I don't laugh, he's going to pull his balls out again. You got to laugh. Kind of past the statute of limitations on this laugh here. You know what? Just go for it, man. Go for it. Better than seeing the balls.
Even. I can't verify that. But the reason they don't want to give out the manifesto, but they will give all of the reasons for the inspiration from the #2 Russia social media site for this guy, was, again, they said they didn't want any copycats. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. This manifesto lets other people read it, and then somehow copycats become involved.
And the main thing you were talking about is this called mass shooting contagion. And it's when the releases of manifestos then contribute to the other manifestos. Some people even copy and paste the manifestos into it. And it's, again, it's a copycat.
You get people who are doing copycat things. They see all the attention these things get in the...
Yeah, so this, even though it's coming from Newsmax and some very dubious sources, this part is actually potentially factually correct. There is a phenomenon amongst mass shooters where they idealize other mass shooters, especially if they're white supremacist mass shooters. They will idealize other white supremacist mass shooters. They start talking about things like kill counts and stuff like that.
And they're mentally unbalanced, and they go about this business.
Possible motive. There is a manifesto. Now, I'm sure there'll be all sorts of debate whether this manifesto should be made public. I would hope not. I don't think.
Okay, well, let's look what information we do have publicly right now. There are exclusive new details about the so-called manifesto left by the Covenant School shooter. Authorities have yet to release what is written publicly, but TBI Director David Rausch said he did talk candidly about the content of the manifesto at the Tennessee Sheriff's Association meeting. Rausch said that what police found isn't so much of a manifesto spelling out a target, but a series of rambling writings indicating no clear motive. Now, are any of them going to report on this? Again, you are the back the blue, the fucking, you know, you don't say ACAB, you say fucking police for life, baby. We love the cops, thin blue line, yay. Okay, so here you go. This is an official statement, again, coming from the Sheriff's Association, saying that it's not so much a manifesto as you are all making it out to be, but again, a series of rambling writings, and it indicates no clear motive. And one of the reasons why I believe, this is just me speculating, why they wouldn't have released it in its entirety is because of the way the right wing is frothing at the fucking mouth for this. If they get these writings, you just know, even if there's nothing in there that says like, I was bullied for being trans and that made me want to take matters into my own hands, even if there's nothing even remotely close to that, they'll find anything. They'll pick one line that out of context, they'll just, you know, screenshot that one little line, post it every fucking where, and it'll say something like, even if that person is like, it's really hard in school to be trans. That alone is enough for all of the right to be like, this was motivated by trans ideology. Look at that right there. It says so in the manifesto. This is the manifesto. This is in his own words. Look at that. Look at that. We told you all along. Investigators searched the Nashville home, the Covenant School shooter, leaving with, amongst other things, a number of handwritten journals, some videos and computer hard drives. They told the sheriffs that the review so far of the material finds the killer did not write about specific political, religious, or social issues. Again, for the fucking bigots in the back, for the transphobes in the back, the killer did not write about specific political, religious, or social issues. Are you just not listening to the cops anymore? That just turns off when it like justifies your transphobia? You know? In fact, a primary focus in the journals is idealizing those who committed prior school shootings. The same pattern, once again, over and over. Holy fuck.
We want to be incentivizing any more behaviour like this. We saw with the Christchurch shooting that manifesto not be published, and I think
and here's the thing,
a sound move.
I agree with that in spirit. If you weren't pulling every single reaching motivation from the #2 Russian social media platform to try and say.
That doesn't well, if it's on Facebook, instead of whatever the Chinese equivalent is of Facebook, I mean, we can't take it for true, even though everything does kind of line up, and it's been corroborated now by a handful of sources. The police have now come out and said that individual did in fact have a neo-Nazi tattoo, and so it's looking worse and worse for all of you. But yeah, that's basically the defense you're going to do. Yeah, I know his voice is grating. I think I've had enough of him, but I do want to see what Tim had to say, because Tim is one of the people listed as a potential viewered show by the shooter.
We have this from NBC News. What we know about the slain Texas Mall massacre suspect, Mauricio Garcia. Garcia, who had a tactical vest, was armed with a rifle and a handgun. A senior law enforcement official said. Authorities said he was a suspected neo-Nazi sympathizer. Now, this story it's a tragedy. It's unfortunate. And we have, unfortunately, too many of these stories that end up happening in the media. Or I'm sorry, that end up happening and then end up hitting the media. So, I mean, the first thing I just want to say before we get into any of the politics from either side is, yeah, we don't want these things to happen. We want these things to stop. We need to figure out what the issue is in our society, in our culture. I genuinely believe it's disassociation. It is a dejected society where individuals don't know or care about each other.
Would you say that it's anarcho-tyranny? Is this anarcho-tyranny? Is this part of anarcho-tyranny that's going on right here?
And they seek validation, or they seek to push some extremist ideology. And then this whole thing creates a recipe for disaster. And I'll put it simply, I think it's multiculturalism. And not...
I'm never going to stop being fucking shocked, I guess. You know? The gall. The fucking... Holy fuck. It's never ending. I blame multiculturalism for white supremacy. You white supremacists. Yeah, I mean, the white supremacists probably shouldn't do what they're doing. No one likes this. No one likes when there's a mass shooting, obviously. Loss of life is bad. We're going to condemn that. But at the end of the day, is there too much multiculturalism? You know, I wonder. And as there is more push towards multiculturalism, will there be more mass shootings? Is there a way potentially to stop the mass shootings? I mean, if you look at the correlation that I'm making before your eyes, I might say that you might want to have a less multicultural society and then do a little bit more, I don't know, push towards racial supremacy. I mean, I don't use those terms. They're loaded, obviously, and as a milquetoast fence sitter, I don't actually take a stance one way or the other on this topic, but I'm just going to say... there's a lot more multiculturalism than there ever used to be.
Not the idea that people of all different types are holding hands on the rainbow. It's that you have different communities stacked on top of each other and next to each other with wildly different views, and they don't like each other. And then people who are crazy will do crazy things. But what ends up happening today, we have this story from the Daily Mail. Revealed Texas gunman staked out massacre mall to monitor peak times 3 weeks before killing 8.
Ooh, it's gotta be intense when your #1 source is saying that, you know? So wait, if the Daily Mail is reporting this, saying revealed, Texas gunman stalked out Massacre Mall to monitor peak times 3 weeks before killing 8 and posting details on the Russian social media site alongside fighting Nazis, guns, and ammunition. The shooter posted his hatred about women, Jews, and black people. The gunman killed at least 8 at the Allen Premium Outlets before being shot by cops. So if this is being done in your number one source, I mean, this means y'all can stop saying that it's a psyop, right? Right? Or unless they're reporting on this, revealed, but who was he really? How will we ever truly know? Was he working for the government? Was this part of some plot in order to justify the vilification of MAGA prior to the the good old election? Is this them trying to force multicultural ideology down our throats?
And posted details on Russian social media alongside photos of Nazis, guns, and ammunition. You see,
yeah, the Daily Mail is part of the psyop now. I'm gonna tweet that actually. Daily Mail, part of the PSYOP.
Here's where we get into the PSYOP. No one knows if this Russian social media profile is actually belongs to this guy. A Bellingcat researcher named Eric Toller just said, I found this profile that looks like it's his. In fact, I'm pretty sure he even said, I didn't verify it, I don't know. Now, the photos that are coming out, I don't want to show many of them considering the sensitive nature of these things. They don't show his face.
Would there be anything sensitive in there of a certain kind of nature that may or may not indicate that that person may or may not have been a fan of yours, or at the very least, had watched multiple different episodes of your show, 2 of which where you featured prominent neo-Nazi and white supremacist, respectively? Maybe.
And Ian Miles Chong actually found that most of these photos are from 5 years ago on a random subreddit that were making fun of these people. So the whole story seems to be strange, but let's just...
Wait, what? It's nearly 5 years old. Doesn't that give less credence to this being a psyop? I mean, that's a patient-ass psyop, let's say. Posting in other corners of the internet as well. Also, Ian Miles Chong is fucking... I don't, like, in the scale of, like, reputable to James O'Keefe, he's probably around an 8 or a 9, you know? Do you enjoy the Serfs, but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Juste, we shall spend many a generations building mighty cathedrals in your honor. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your oafish jesters, here to offer you a laugh at any opportunity. To our brave knights of the Round Table, Rachel K., Izzy Solidarity, Victoria Bell, Sebastian Demel, Mark Harmon, Benji Arney, Scary Earth Human, Tony, DM Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood, Everything Important, Hegbert Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Doug Cady, Daniel Sutton, Jenna Tao, Dark Puppy, Quiet One 85, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, Multimondi, Trevbot EXE, Brian Ephraim, Anthropophojack, Catherine, Ramon Acosta, Incosin, Ralph Parler, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, La Media Panza, Todd Buckingham, and Todd La Jeunesse. We salute our valiant heroes off to fight injustice everywhere.